Oops. Hello everybody, this is CSD3084, Acoustics and Speech Science. Fall 2020, there will be class meetings on Tuesday or Thursday for you in Leon Levine 246, as well as online presentation of material like this one. First thing to get out of the way is something that we don't want to talk about, given how 2020 has been going. You wouldn't think it could get any worse, but last year, this was maybe something people worried about a fair bit. Somebody goes crazy and decides to storm through the building. This is pretty unlikely in Boone compared to some other universities, perhaps. I mean, it's unlikely anywhere, but relatively speaking. The recommended reaction in this case is to get away if possible. Try to keep yourself from being found if you can't get away, and fight only if you are trapped and have to. So one thing you could think about are different ways of getting out of these classrooms. There's usually a couple of exits, and then once you're out in the hallway, a couple of nearby stairways. So you could identify those ways to get out of the room. It's the case that you are not allowed to have a weapon on campus, but you can have things like mace or pepper spray to use in defense in that sort of situation. Okay, we have a student organization for communication sciences and disorders. You've probably heard about this before at this point. NISHLA is the National Organization for Students in Speech and Hearing. We have a chapter at App State that you can find on OrgSync, and the faculty liaison for that is Dr. Buff. For this class, what I expect you to do is keep up with the textbook as indicated on the schedule. The text is your primary source of information on the material in the course. It's definitely the most complete explanation of the concepts that we'll be talking about. I will give you lecture slides for all of the lectures that will happen in the class. There will also be recordings like this one if you can stand to listen to them. We will get together in class to answer questions, to work on problems, and so forth. From my perspective, you can do what you like in class as long as you don't disturb other people. And overall, I consider us all to be adults more or less, and expect professional behavior from everybody, both in class as well as in any online interactions. So this class is kind of your final class on typical speech. Speech being a process of communicating by articulating sounds like I'm doing now. Linguistic study has found speech sounds to be the most basic elements of human verbal communication. So as we kind of break things down, the smallest chunks we have are speech sounds. In the anatomy class, you talked about the various possibilities for forming speech sounds using different articulators like the tongue, the lips, the jaw, the soft palate, the vocal folds for phonation. What we will do in this class is go into pretty gory detail about how these articulators are used to make the different combinations of place of articulation, manner of articulation, and voicing to create our distinct speech sounds like A and T and Sh and M and R, symbols that you should be familiar with from the phonetics class. The thing that's new in this class, completely new, I should say, in this class compared to other things you learned is acoustics. What happens when these articulations happen? What does that create that propagates through the air to get heard by other people? This class on acoustics and basic speech science covers fundamentals in speech science and hearing science about how we can measure speech, look at it articulatorily, look at it acoustically, and see what impacts that has auditorily. So by the time this class is done, you will know the basics of acoustics of sound, and that would apply to all sounds, not just speech sounds. It would apply to music. It would apply to bird song. It would apply to the sound a plate makes when it falls on the floor, etc. We will learn how to use acoustic analysis to measure and display sounds. We will learn some about the tools that are used to study articulation and see how articulators actually do their thing in speech. Putting that all together then, how the articulation and the acoustics of typical speech sounds come together. And we'll also talk a little bit about how articulation or acoustics might be different in speech disorders. So my job as your professor for this class is to help you understand the material in the course, the stuff you're reading in the book, the assignments that I give to you, course-specific technology that we use, like the PROT program that we'll use to analyze speech. I may be able to help you if you have specific issues with your computer, but I may not. I'm not a Mac user. That's not really my job. You should have some basic ability to do things on your computer without my assistance. I think there are some university folks in information technology that can help you with stuff like that. I am available to meet on video, by phone, or by email. This particular semester, meeting in person is being discouraged. You can expect your assignments to be graded fairly, meaning everybody will be treated the same way. Doesn't mean you'll necessarily like the grade you get. And I've provided you with quite a few different ways to demonstrate your understanding of the material for this course that translates into your grade. We have a wider variety than in previous courses you had with me. There are exams and homework like in other courses, but also 3 different essay-like things anyway. One is a disorder essay like you had in the anatomy class. Another is an application to disorder from the end of one of the chapters in the book. And the third is to do a little bit of acoustic research yourself, or I guess I just should say research yourself. The focus on this class is acoustics, but if you want to look into articulation or read about some other aspect of speech science, you can do that. So what do I want you to do? Read the syllabus so you know what's going to happen in this course. Follow the App State Honor Code at all times. Ask me questions if you don't understand what's going on. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're struggling in the class, be sure to reach out to get help. Often having a couple of meetings can straighten out some basic concepts and make your life much easier as the course goes on. Be sure to read everything that you're given to do, the book chapters, as well as carefully reading the assignments so that you're actually doing the things I ask you to do. I also think it's a good idea to study often. The material builds up over the course of the semester, and you'll definitely need to spend time on the class outside of directly what we do in class if you want to learn the material. So our syllabus is available on As You Learn. It will probably be updated due to changes this semester or because I made a mistake. There's a few different ways you can approach learning this class, and what works best for you is something you have to figure out as a student. So there will be recorded lectures. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions when we get together in person, or if you want to arrange a meeting. I provided you, or will provide you, with the PowerPoint slides for all the material that I'm going to cover, so that you can use those as kind of a rough outline of notes for the class. We will have a variety of labs and homework assignments that I'll do demonstrations for in class and that you'll work on at home, a lot of which use a free computer program called PROT that lets you analyze speech acoustics on just an ordinary computer. I will have quizzes for all the different major topic areas that will be online. They will have questions that draw from pools that you can take over and over again. That'll give you an idea of what some of the exam questions will be like. As far as the syllabus goes, we're going to cover the book in order. Most of your grade is going to come from 4 exams. They will be multiple choice. They'll be taken online with a time limit. And as I said, the quizzes allow you to practice a lot of the exam type questions. We'll have 3 written assignments related to speech science and to its applications in the clinic and in research. And then you will have labs, homework, quizzes that allow you to get part of your grade just through effort in trying to learn the material. I will give you a study guide before each exam. Usually that's just a list of everything that's been talked about in class. You do get PowerPoint presentations recorded online, as well as you can download the PowerPoint slides for yourself. What I provide there, though, doesn't necessarily include every single thing that is in the textbook, and it's possible that some book material will show up on an exam, but it certainly won't be a major focus. In my opinion, the best way to prepare for exams is to study frequently. Each time you go to sleep, your short-term memory is converted into long-term memory, so if you want to actually remember things, the best thing to do is to study often so that you have multiple sleep intervals between when you study and when you need to know the material. The more different ways you can process the information in class, the better you'll learn the material without, necessarily quote-unquote studying. If you write notes, if you take those written notes and rewrite them to make them clearer and better organized, all of those things will serve the same purpose as sitting there and poring over PowerPoint slides and just rereading them over and over again. They're a better way to study. As I said, you get exam type questions on the quizzes, so be sure to take those at least once because you'll get graded on them, but more than once would be better because that gives you more practice and you can keep taking quizzes until you get a perfect score. If you make that effort, you can get the most points possible. Last but not least, if you really want to master this material, spend a little time thinking about why you are doing particular assignments. There is always a point to things I'm asking you to do. It's not just to keep you busy. The labs usually are meant to build up skills from smaller pieces to bigger pieces, and then the homeworks tend to be applications of those bigger pieces to another example similar to the lab. So this week you can send me any questions or concerns you have about the syllabus. You can listen to the second lecture that will be posted in Unit 0, which will be a really broad overview of the course, fairly brief. For the second week of classes, we will get into Chapter 1. There will be the start of lecture videos on basic acoustics. We will have a class meeting for you on either Tuesday or Thursday in the second week. Come and ask questions. Bring a computer if you can so that you can do some of the same tasks yourself on your computer as I'm demonstrating to you in class. So look forward to seeing you then, and let's all hope fall semester starts smoothly.